farm that wasn't ours, in a community that wasn't large enough to qualify as a town. Barely a dot in the middle of the Great Plains, in a vale, Nebraska was a crosshatch of dirt roads with a few tumble-down houses, none of which had electricity or running water. While those in big cities were experiencing the frothy excesses of the Roaring Twenties, we in rural America were working our fingers to the bone, eking out a living. That's what my father did. He was a sharecropper, finding whatever work he could to provide for his family. My mother bore him 4 children. I was the oldest. I shared a room with my 2 younger brothers, Darrell and William, while my sister Norma slept in my parents' bedroom. My parents worked from can to can't, fixing all 6 of our meals, washing all 6 of our clothes, mending and patching them, making do while somehow making a life for all 6 of us, and holding that life together. As the 1920s passed into the 1930s, the farms that fanned out from Innervale eventually gave out. One by one, banks foreclosed on them, leaving them derelict. Or their tenants simply packed up what little they had and left them to the dust that had collected in drifts along the fence lines. Most tenants went west. My family headed east, a few miles down the road to Red Cloud, which was midway on Nebraska's southern border. I was 9 when we got there. Unlike Innervale, Red Cloud was a proper town. Founded in 1871, it was named after the Great Plains Indian chief, a Lakota Sioux who 3 years earlier had made peace with the United States after a bloody war that also bears his name. By the 1930s, the town had 1,500 people, a couple of grocery stores, a post office, retail stores, a school system, and a handful of churches. Most of the residents were Lutherans, but there was a fair number of Baptists, Methodists, and Catholics. Mom was the religious one in the family, a Methodist. That was her church, and, by extension, it became ours. What I recall from my place on a hard wooden pew in that little Methodist church was not so much what I heard from the pulpit as what I saw in the people. Hard-scrabble farmers in their hand-sewn Sunday best, with starched collars chafing their necks. Their wives, sitting next to them, dressed in faded floral prints. Next to them squirmed uneven rows of free-range children, trying their best to sit still and be reverent. They were dressed in hand-me-downs that had been soaked in outdoor tubs, scrubbed on wooden washboards, and pressed with irons heated on stovetops. The girls smelled of their mother's rosewater, the boys of their father's hair oil. When the offering plate was passed, I watched it make its way down one pew and up another, hearing the clink of coins as the small, clutched hands of those children dropped their offerings into the plate. Most of the families in that church had little to live on and nothing to spare, yet somehow the parents found nickels and dimes for their children to give. I remember how the church people came together to help whenever one of those farmers needed it, whenever one of those mothers gave birth, whenever one of those children fell sick, or whenever one of them died. I remember the funerals, the food people brought, how they showed up and pitched in, and how the grief was somehow made bearable because a family didn't have to shoulder it alone. I remember the Lord's Supper and the hush that came over everyone when it was Communion Sunday. I didn't understand the take-and-eat mystery of it all, but I came to understand the sacrifice that had been made and the importance of honoring that sacrifice by remembering it. When we went to church, we walked, all 6 of us. Mom made sure we washed the night before, that we were up early, our faces washed, our hair brushed, our fingernails clipped. At night, I would often see her read our big family Bible. In the morning, if I was up early, I would sometimes see her on her knees, praying. In the hours between, she might quote a Bible verse as a reminder of what was expected of us. She was never harsh. She would just say something like, "Do you think Jesus would approve of that, Donnie?" Or when we would run out of something, she would tell us not to worry. The good Lord would take care of it, she assured us. Her theology was simple, and those 3 words pretty much summed it up. Faith in the good Lord was all a person needed to get by, even in the hard times.